What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to this evening's news show. I would call it the late night agenda, but it doesn't feel particularly late, so let's just call it a news show and we'll all be done with it. So I hope you're all well. There are a few bits and pieces to go through, and of course we will be back later on tonight at 8:45 with this week's Cop of the Week show. So yes, lots of stuff to go through, my friends, lots of stuff indeed. To everyone that tuned in to the FIFA stream last night, firstly let me apologise because I told you it was going to be bad, but even I didn't think I would be quite that bad. So look, we'll work on it. That is a work in progress. And look, lots for us to go through as always. We'll be talking about Zakaria a little bit. We'll be talking about Carvalho and a few other bits and pieces tonight as well. Lovely to see you in. Yeah, so Naby looks like he's out of the AFCON, if I'm reading this right. I haven't been able to keep up to date with the latest score, but he was 1-0 down last I'd seen. But look, before I get stuck into all the news and ask you guys for your opinion, I want to give a little shout out to our sponsors and the new shows here on Anfield Agenda. The almighty, all-conquering Manscaped.com. Don't forget, you can get 20% off store-wide and free shipping using our discount code WFM20. Doesn't matter whether it's something small, maybe you want to just get the eau de toilette or the fragrance for that loved one in your life. Maybe you want to get the performance package. Either way, WFM20 gets you 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you, Craig will thank you, my son will thank you, my wife will thank you, my bank account hopefully will thank you. And yeah, lots of love as well. Appreciate you guys and your support. Right, what do we want to talk about, my friends? Naby was suspended. Well, they're out by the looks of it, aren't they? They're 1-0 down last I'd seen anyway. When's the highlights for the FIFA? Connor has them edited, no rehand. They should be going up soon. I think he has it down to 8.5 minutes, which was quite an accomplishment considering it was an hour and a half of embarrassment, really. Like, there's no other way of talking about it. Naby's on the way home, said Glenn, there you go. So I take a Guinea, we're absolutely knocked out of it then. So look, I've loads I want to go through, but I'm also aware that the chat will fill up as we go on, so I don't want to overly complicate it by putting in too much stuff early doors that people will be just asking me to go back over. But then again, you guys are here, you guys are on time, and you guys are ready. So episode 2 tomorrow night, mate. Oh, you say episode, I mean, when will the next shit show be, is probably the correct answer, mate. I signed Jude Bellingham though early doors, you know what I mean? I went in there and just showed them how it was done, FSG. So, if you want me to come in and take over from Michael Edwards, I'm around. I know Julian Ward's doing a cracking job, but right, when I took the confused staring at the remote, it was already down to 15 minutes. Oh yeah, there was a lot of, what's this button do? What's that button? How do you do this? Yeah, I loved every second of you playing FIFA. Keaton, you're very kind, mate. Let's be honest, it was horrendous, but I did warn you. They did lose 1-0, Mark. Thank you for that. So Guinea on the way out then, or are out. So Naby should be on his way back. Which of course, look, we don't want him not to do well, but we are obviously grateful to have him back. Did well to bring in Jude. Early doors, GSC, do you know what I mean? Early doors, straight in there. Get me Bellingham. And I got rid of Matip as well. I need to find another defender, by the way. So look, there's the link as well if you want to go over and give us a follow on Twitch. Was actually really surprised last night. I think it peaked at about 600 viewers in Twitch, which was mad. Wasn't expecting that to happen. Right, look, I want to get straight into the transfer news because I know there'll be people watching this going, all right, mate, enough of your waffle. So, right, look. Chris is going to be happy with this one. So the first article I want to bring up to you guys comes from Football International that said PSV winger holds talks with Liverpool and Manchester City. PSV winger Cody Gakpo has held exploratory talks. Now, I don't know how they differ from other talks. It's probably just, is he interested? Would he be interested? So Liverpool have held exploratory talks with Gakpo according to Football International as well as Manchester City. The Dutch outlet claimed the 22-year-old is expected to extend his contract until 2026, but could be on the move in the summer, having held talks with the Premier League clubs. So this screams to me already of they're going to extend his contract so they can fleece a Premier League club for extra money. So, yeah. Never great when you hear somebody's about to extend the contract and we're interested in them, because it usually means you end up paying more money for them. Bayern Munich had previously been linked with the player, and reports suggest he'll only leave PSV for a, quote, top European club. His current contract expires in 2025, set to sign a year's extension while It takes time to make careful decisions on his future. The article quotes the player saying, "It looks like I'm going to renew my contract. The club that wants something also know, the clubs that want something are also known to me. I've had conversations about that with my agent. Very interesting clubs have been added, but we look at what the first step is. In the moment, I'm just focused on being here, blah, blah, blah." Interestingly, if my memory's right on Gakpo, and I don't know too much about him, I'm sure Chris said to me he's a wide attacking player who's also 6'2", which isn't the norm for attacking wide players. And look, I don't know too much about Gakpo, and again, one of these moves from the Eredivisie you're always taking with a pinch of salt, because how many players have come from the Eredivisie and not been able to make the leap? But then again, there are certainly examples of players who have come. Suarez probably been the most extreme example for us. Came in from Ajax, obviously from the Eredivisie, and hit the ground running at Liverpool from minute one. He may be the exception. I don't know. I don't know much about Gakpo anyway, other than his name is fun to say. Gakpo is a pretty fun name. So again, I will leave that over to you guys. Watford have sacked Ranieri. That's the breaking news right now. Watford have just sacked Ranieri. So the Tinker Man's going to have to go tinker elsewhere. Unpopular, but Origi be a good signing for Arsenal given the contract situation. Origi will be an alright signing in Hannah for somebody, yes, definitely. I'm not going to argue with you on that one. There's certainly a player in Divock Origi. The question has always been, was he good enough to play regularly at Liverpool? And time has suggested maybe not, but then again, he's had all those major moments for us. So whatever happens with Divock, I think we'll all just say thank you to him and wish him the best wherever life takes him. 15 million Phillips to Newcastle be a good move for the lads, said John Goodman. Yeah, I mean, look, the window's getting close. There's a week to go in the transfer window. Still, no sign of Nat Phillips moving on, as you've said, John. We know that Newcastle are looking at centre-backs. They're looking at a couple. They're looking at Diego Carlos from Sevilla. They're looking at Tarkowski, if my memory's right, maybe as well. And also, of course, Nat Phillips. Not sure if West Ham's interest in Nat Phillips has waned off a little bit or not. When I catch up with Chris, I'll get more on that. What have we got? Crick said, I would be making a move for Pedro from Watford. Not Dennis, mate, no. Or Ismail Assar, who we had a previous interest in. It is a difficult one, isn't it, with Watford as a club, because there's Everton, I think, are turning into what could be another Watford here, with just expecting unrealistic things, bringing in managers that don't fit the ethos of the way the club want to push forward, and ultimately it not ending up in a good finish. Right, some more transfer stuff anyway I want to go through, bear with me. So, the one that you're all going to ask me about, the one that I've been talking about for the past few days, Fabio Carvalho. So, this one comes from the Mail. Look, I know, I'm just trying to bring the articles to you so we can have a talking point, really. So, Liverpool will face competition for Fulham's Fabio Carvalho, according to reports. The Mail claims both Leeds and West Ham are among the clubs monitoring the 19-year-old. Carvalho scored 4 goals and registered 1 assist in his last 3 appearances for the Championship club, so interest in him intensifies. The Echo understands Liverpool are one of clubs monitoring the player as they view him as one of the finest youngsters in England. Carvalho's contract expires at the end of the season and will be available on a free transfer in the summer if a new deal is not agreed. So look, we're still at the point of Liverpool are trying to get something sorted for this kid. Whether it can be resolved in the January window with him going back to Fulham on loan, that's the common sense thing here. I don't have an update for you, unfortunately. I won't lie to you. I don't know if it's progressed from the last time I spoke to you, but it is heartening to see more and more media outlets copping onto the fact that Liverpool are looking at this lad and putting it on their publications, because I wouldn't be overly worried at the Leeds Uniteds, the West Hams, the other clubs in for him, because our interest isn't a fly-by-night thing. It's been there for a while. And with Harvey Elliott having obviously made the leap from Fulham to us, to the first team, and Curtis Jones getting opportunities and Tyler Morton getting opportunities, it's quite, I don't say it's quite easy. It's certainly an easier conversation to have with a talented young player like Carvalho to show, look, there will be a pathway here. If you're good enough, and we believe you are good enough, you will get your opportunities at this football club. And the opportunities that you get will be at the highest level. Latter stages of cups, right up there, challenging for the Premier League, obviously European football. So yeah, fingers crossed, because I'd like us to sign this kid. I would, because it wouldn't put a massive dent in the future transfer plans, but it would be an astute piece of business. And look, I know we're all talking Rafinha's, Bowens, all this type of stuff, but no harm in looking after tomorrow as well by bringing in a very talented young man. So fingers crossed it works out. We'll wait and see what happens. And if I do get any updates, even later on tonight, I'll certainly let you know on tonight's show. And another bit of news is Fabrizio Romano. You guys have probably seen this on social media. He tweeted out that Denis Zakaria, FC Bayern Munich and Dortmund are pushing for him. United had talks with his agents but have not submitted any proposal. And Liverpool won't sign him in January. Premier League move seems unlikely. Juventus want him, but Borussia are asking €7 million to sell Zakaria in January. Now, what caught me about this was not the part of it about Liverpool not looking to sign him in January. The part of it that really surprised me about this is, if this guy is as good as he is, and I don't know much about Zakaria, I've watched limited amounts of Borussia Mönchengladbach, but if he's as good a midfielder, and he must have something about him if Bayern, Dortmund, Liverpool, United, and Juventus are looking at him. But the fact that, as of yet, nobody's willing to pay €7 million, which is about, what, £5.5 million, to get the deal over the line, rather than maybe waiting for the summer when somebody's need could intensify. And look, yes, granted, Juventus and the clubs outside of Germany could sign him on a pre-contract, but I don't know if it's an indictment where clubs are financially right now, or I don't know. But the fact that nobody's willing to pony up £5.5 million for him in January just seems strange to me, rather than taking that chance. As I said, if you wait till the summer, see what happens, well, then maybe another club with greater need comes along, or somebody picks up an injury between now and then. I think if anybody's in for this kid, and it looks like Juventus are the ones pushing, as well as Dortmund and Bayern, just try and get it done this month. What £5.5 million to Bayern Munich, realistically? I don't get it. It does seem a strange one to me. Which puts me back to my original point that I spoke about yesterday and the past week or two. I get worried when I see Liverpool being linked with the likes of Zakaria, with the likes of the other kid from AC Milan, what's his name again? Frank Kessie. When I see these type of names, I think, okay, fair enough if they're really targets, but are they targets because of their contractual situation? Are the owners trying to cheap out again? And I can look at the likes of Fabio Carvalho and go, no, this is just a good opportunity. You've got a kid there who's 19 years of age, who has his future ahead of him, who we've been monitoring anyway, so why not pull the trigger? But when I see the Kessies and the Zakarias of this world, I just think it's the owners being cheap if we look at those options. They certainly wouldn't be in any of our top 10 list of midfielders when we're looking to strengthen. Right, what else we got? Delighted to see Harvey Elliott back. Should be ready for the Cardiff game. Yeah, I'm hoping that he's back after this international break. And we are just starting an international break as well. As horrible as that is to say, because I'm there's not even Ireland games to watch during this international. So, yeah, it's just going to be a long one. And another one that I'm unconvinced on, but yeah, a lot of people seem to be really going for him, is the guy from Porto, Luis Diaz, because the money being mentioned for him, I just think you would almost buy Rafinha or Bowen or somebody who I think is less of a risk than Luis Diaz, because I don't watch enough of Porto. I've seen him a few times. I think for the Portuguese, or not the Portuguese, for the Colombian national team. But again, it's another one that going from the Portuguese Primera Division to the Premier League, I mean, there are other options I think Liverpool should look at for that type of money. Craig, what is Manscaped? It's a male grooming product, Mick. It's basically you shave your nuts with it, mate. Yeah, shave your nuts with it. Then there's a little weed whacker, they call it, Mick, that you shave your nose hairs and ear hairs with. And you also get some ball toner and ball deodorant. Lots of other fun bits and pieces, Mick. But yeah, it's for us men to step up our grooming game, buddy, basically, into the 21st century. And they are the finest purveyors of male grooming products that you could wish to have. Honestly, the products are great. The packaging's great. I love the shed travel bag. That's probably my favourite aspect of the stuff from Manscaped, because really good quality. And I use it for all my toiletries when I'm going on holidays and stuff. Right, what else we got? I feel that he just copies what other people are saying, but when he says it gets more clicks because of the name. I think you're talking about Fabrizio there, Tyra. Yeah, look, Fabrizio Romano was certainly carved out a niche for himself as the transfer guru of our generation, probably. But there are certainly plenty of other people who break stories before him, I would say that. And he's not really one for having much information on Liverpool, actually, Fabrizio, that I've noticed over the years, which isn't unusual. Liverpool make it very hard for transfer information to come out in this day and age. Have I seen the new Bose kit? Not. I've seen the homeless kit from last season, the one supporting the homeless charity, I mean, Glenn. I think was it Fontaine's that they teamed up with for that kit, which was a great initiative, by the way, and fair play to Bohemians on that. But no, mate, short answer is I haven't seen it. Can you get a discount on Manscaped, Mick? Why? I know of such a discount, Mick, that does exist, yes. If you just type in WFM20, Mihal, my friend, to the old manscaped.com website, it will give you 20% off, Mick. What was that? You're worried about the cost of shipping? Don't be, Mick. Free shipping. You know what I mean? You've set me up there well, Mick. Thank you, sir. Balotelli back in the Italian national team. I mean, let's move on from Mario Balotelli, Glenn. We don't need to be talking about Mario Balotelli. Those days are well and truly behind us. I'm a little bit concerned by the links from Manchester City to this kid Alvarez from River Plate. The more I look into this guy, and I've never seen him play for River Plate, but I have seen him in the Argentinian national team. Yeah, he looks like a superstar. I mean, if you score 2 goals in the Super Classico to beat Boca Juniors, you were immediately a god, and rightly so, to River Plate fans. So this kid looks legit, and if they get him for 25 million quid, I think it'll turn out to be a bargain for Manchester City. And yes, there is an inherent risk, of course there is, bringing a kid from Argentina across, but he looks legit from the few bits and pieces I've seen. Look, there's always going to be comparisons, isn't there? They're throwing around the Sergio Aguero name already, but yeah, it's worrying because he does look good. What else is there? If Manchester City and Manchester United got wrong penalty decisions or offside goals decisions, that's not controversial decisions. But Liverpool Football Club, that's controversial decision. Funny. Yeah, on yesterday, look, it would be disingenuous of me to sit here and say we didn't get a decision. Now, I want to look at both of these scenarios because, hand on heart, I wasn't even aware of the Bobby Firmino situation for the first goal. But when I watched Match of the Day 2 last night, and I heard Mika Richards talking about this scenario as a fullback, I have to say I agree. I think the more I look back at this, I do think that Bobby Firmino interfered with play, and I do have sympathy for Palace fans who feel like that should have been offside. I do. I genuinely do. We don't make these decisions as football fans, nor, of course, as Liverpool Football Club, but I can understand how they feel like 2 major decisions went against them yesterday, because let's be honest, the penalty was, to say soft is probably an understatement. It wasn't a penalty, let's be honest. I mean, I can give you a reason or a rationale why I think it was, but ultimately at the end of the day, if that was given against us, I would be absolutely mental. I would be screaming at the television. So yeah, the penalty incident, I don't think there really is any defence. But then again, I don't think we need to give any defence because it's not us making the decisions. What I can say is consistent is the refereeing in the Premier League is shit. I've been saying this for years. Even, like, people come in and say, oh yeah, you say it when it affects you and you lose, you're just being salty. No, I say it all the time because they are awful. It's not VAR that's making these problems. It's the idiots that are refereeing the games. So let's look at the penalty incident, right? Kevin Friend, seen it, had a perfect view of it. We've seen that back on Match of the Day last night. And he decided that it wasn't a penalty on the field. Fair enough, VAR looks at it. And the VAR official that looked at it, I believe, was Craig Pawson. And I believe that Craig Pawson was given a bit of grief for, if my memory is correct, it was an Ederson challenge on somebody for a penalty he didn't give in a similar kind of scenario. And that must have been in his thinking yesterday when he asked Kevin Friend to go to the monitor, because he didn't want to obviously be criticised again for missing something. So I can understand subconsciously how how Craig Pawson thought to himself, I got to get this referee over to look at this monitor, at least then it's out of my hands. But how Kevin Friend then went over to the monitor, and he didn't see anything that he didn't see in the first place, in my opinion, and gave the penalty. We're grateful for it being given, but I'm absolutely on board with people who think that it was an iffy decision. So that one, yes. But the Firmino one, I honestly had no clue about until last night, till I watched Match of the Day. Because when I watched the games, obviously I watched them with no audio on for copyright reasons. So I didn't cop the Firmino. But when I looked at it, I have to admit, yeah, he certainly drew the defender behind him towards him, which left Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain free behind. And he jumped for the ball. So, you know, there's that threshold for what's interfering with play. It seems to be that you have to touch it, but I don't agree with that. I don't. But they are the rules, and we don't make the rules. So, have we benefited from the rules on this occasion? Yes, we have. Have we harshly been treated by them before? Yes. Has everybody? Yes. So, you know, you hear every cliche rolled out. Oh, would they even themselves out over the course of the season? That's not true either. It isn't. So, look, I get it. I get the fume and anger from yesterday. And that's my honest view on it. Yeah. It was a good game though. First 45 minutes, first 35 minutes actually, we were brilliant. Absolutely on the money. And then Palace came right back into its second half. Some great saves from Alisson. So yeah, look, I'm happy with the 3 points. Micah Richards is loud and wrong. Dude laughed at nothing. I don't know if he is wrong. And honestly, mate, you know, I thought he made very clear points, Mick, on that last night. For me, VAR has made the refs worse in the Premier League, said Glenn. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, mate. I'm even at peace now with the offside decisions, as close as they can be, and as somewhat subjective as they still are, because we still have this conversation about when does the ball actually leave the passing player's foot. So I'm at peace with them. But these subjectives, was it a foul, wasn't it a foul, was it a handball, wasn't it a handball, was it a red, was it not a red? Again, I will go back to what I've always said. I don't like referees making these decisions, looking at anything in slow motion. It should be looked at in real time. Every one of these decisions, be it a red card or be it a penalty, real time. Because everything looks more deliberate and you can convince yourself of it in slow motion. So, yes, I do agree that the referees are horrendous, and VAR somehow made them worse. And it's also made players more clever. We need to have this conversation as well, because players are now looking to initiate contact a bit more, because they know if it gets looked at and it is shown that they were clipped. I mean, a good example actually in the opposite way was Harry Kane yesterday. So Harry Kane had his goal ruled out for a push in the back of Thiago Silva, which I believe was a foul. Absolutely. But you will see 10 times more contact in the penalty area from defenders grabbing hold of attackers from set pieces. 10 times more contact that will never get done. So it's that hypocrisy between the protection a goalkeeper and a defender gets versus the threshold for giving a penalty for a player being fouled. It's trying to find a balance between those for me, and I think the game is going too soft. I think it's too... Contact is a given in football, and it has to be allowed. You know, any contact can't always be a foul. So I'm trying to be fair, really. I'm just trying to be fair in my assessment of all this. I have to laugh at other fans saying we get all the VAR decisions. We're sitting 16th on the VAR table. Yeah, look, Glenn, opposition fans, mate, are always going to try and take low shots and aren't going to use facts a lot of the time. And you're right. The decision for VAR would have been great, but still, that doesn't mean we didn't get lucky yesterday. What else we got? It's not VAR, it's the poor refs, said GSC. Allow me to toss you a phrase, Craig. If it's clear and obvious, then he screwed up, then overturn it. Yeah, exactly. Like if the ref thinks a player dived and it shows that his ankle was clipped, you can see in real time, in like real speed, how that could be missed if you haven't got the perfect view from the perfect angle. So yeah, in those situations, it should be clear and obvious, and it should be very clear and obvious. Or, you know, if it was the wrong player who was adjudged to have fouled somebody, and that's happened on occasions as well. RBTZ389 said, Carvalho gives me Coutinho vibes. Yeah, I get it. I get where you're coming from, dude. I really do. If he had a Coutinho impact, wouldn't be too shabby, would it? That was not remotely a foul, though, to be frank, said Jackal. I'm with you. Sorry, Jackal, I don't know which one we're talking. Are we talking about the penalty? The Jota one, I'm with you, mate. You know, they were both coming at an angle. Keeper was coming towards Jota. Jota was coming towards the keeper. At the moment, I thought to myself, is the saving grace here for the referee and the VAR official the fact that potentially Jota could have got onto the ball that he'd knocked with his left foot past the keeper? But when you see it, he probably wasn't getting near it, in all honesty. So look, yes, for me, that was a soft one. Oh, the Harry Kane one was definitely a foul, mate. 100%. I've no disagreements that Kane push on Thiago Silva was a foul and that Thiago Silva was very clever in what he did. My point being, if that's the other way round, there's never penalties getting given for that. What else we got? And my FIFA streaming tonight, not tomorrow night, mate. I can't put myself through that again. God almighty, mate. Yeah. Ooh, what a weird 90 minutes that was, mate, last night. Absolutely love DVG giving the Everton fans some over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, on the Everton fans, actually, difficult to say this because they're not alone in this one, but I don't like this thing where bottles are getting thrown lately at games, and I don't want to single out the Everton fans here because I've seen it happen in at least 3 games this weekend. The Everton one is just the one, unfortunately, where it caught the players, and it's wrong. It's not a great look for the sport, and it's pathetic at the end of the day. So I hope we see this stamped out. I really do. Anyone coming in January, in your opinion? Only the potential of this Carvalho guy. Who was it asked the question? Sorry. Who was this question? Oh, sorry, William. Yeah, just Carvalho, mate. And even at that, you know, that's come as a surprise to me that we're trying to act for him in January. But other than that, I think maybe 1 or 2 outgoings. We need a midfielder and a winger in this window. We're never going to sign them in this window, Emil. It'll be the summer. And you know, I don't disagree with you. I think we need a midfielder and an attacker as well, but I think we won't be bringing them into the summer. And I think my big worry about the summer is not so much that we won't make signings, because I think that we will. I just think we won't. We're always playing catch up. So for me, we've just replaced Lovren with Ibrahim Kanade. We haven't replaced Gini Wijnaldum. And if we lose Nat Phillips, I'm not comfortable if Reece Williams is supposed to be the Nat Phillips replacement long term. I think we could and should act better than that. And also, I think we're still missing a forward. Obviously, this was supposed to be the time of the season where Takumi Minamino and Divock Origi stepped up to provide some squad depth. Minamino has been available, albeit not very effective, in my opinion. Sorry, I should caveat that. And Divock Origi, unfortunately, has been injured and has been about as much use to us as an ashtray on a motorbike over the past couple of weeks with the lads away at the AFCON. So, yeah. And that's the problem for me with a lot of our players. So, you feel bad when you say we need to move a Thiago or a Keita or an Oxlade-Chamberlain on. But at the end of the day, in crunch times when you need these lads, it's always a struggle. It doesn't seem to be that... Like, have we even seen a midfield with Keita, Thiago and Fabinho in it? If we have we seen it for more than 2 or 3 games? That's frustrating. And it's a difficult conversation to have as fans because none of us will sit here and say that Thiago isn't an excellent footballer. None of us will sit here and say that the man doesn't make the midfield pour like a Rolls Royce when he's going. But how often is the question? Same with Naby Keita. How often? And if they are going to be our 3 difference makers as midfielders, and by that I mean line breakers, people who can find the half spaces, people who can play those little intricate passes in and around the 18-yard box, then you need them firing when you need them. And we haven't had them ultimately in stages where we've needed them. That being said, and caveat everything I've said before, it's been a pretty successful January for Liverpool with regards to managing with the lads away at the AFCON. So we've got maximum points from the 2 league games. We've progressed to the League Cup final, and we have an FA Cup 4th round tie coming up against Cardiff. So all in all, not too bad. But where's the level of acceptance for us? Is it not too bad, or are we really wanting to look and go and win the Premier League and the top trophies? And if the answer is the latter, then we've got to start making sure that the manager has a bulletproof squad if we're going to work with a small squad. Now, Chris said something to me the other day that genuinely knocked me back in my tracks. That Manchester City have fewer registered players in the Premier League than Liverpool do. Because we all look at their squad and talk about squad depth. Well, it certainly isn't because of numbers. It's because of quality. So I'd certainly rather have a smaller squad with that quality than a squad filled full of people like Origi, Minamino, Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Milner, who, for all their positive attributes, can't really make a difference. They're more steady as she goes type players. Thiago, potentially, of course, a bit different, but the rest of them, just a bit meh at times. That make any sense? Disappointed with Bobby again yesterday, said Glenn. Yeah, he wasn't great, Glenn. He wasn't. I mean, Chris seemed to think he wasn't as bad as I thought he was, but I thought Firmino was awful. Can versus Brook should be interesting. Dara, I tried to tell myself, mate, so many times I'm not going to watch that fight. So many times. But you know what? I am going to watch it because I feel like my soul needs to see that fight, Dara. So yeah, I will end up paying for it and watching it, mate, but I will also hate myself for doing it. Craig, would it make more sense to keep Keita and sell Ox, Origi, Thiago? See, I'm alright with even keeping Thiago and Keita, but I think we could move on Ox. I just think we need to move on one of the three of them. And contractual situation could play a factor in this because Thiago still has at least, 3 years to run in his contract? So in all likelihood, it's not going to be Thiago. So then you look at Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita, and both of them now are inside, what have we got? Nearly February, so March, April, May, June. 16, 17 months to run on their contract. So something will give there. Either they'll be given a new contract, or they'll be sold, or they'll be let run it down. So I think you could almost allow Oxlade-Chamberlain to run it down. But I don't think you can allow a player you paid 50-something million quid for, or around 50 million quid for Naby Keita, to run down his contract and leave on a free. But yet I also don't feel really comfortable with Liverpool giving him a new 4 or 5 year deal with the injury concerns that he's had. So yeah, there's definitely some difficult decisions coming up. And that's before the difficult decisions around the front three. You know, we're all taking it as a given that Mohamed Salah will eventually get his new deal. But then the conversation will turn to Mane and Firmino. And then you'll have fans turning on each other because you'll have the people feeling others are disrespecting them. You'll have the people who are accused of disrespecting them feeling like, you know, they're making a point because we've seen the best days of these players and we need to be ruthless. So, it's just... I think the club have left themselves too much work to do. And I think speaking to Chris and the lads with the LFC transfer room as well, that's kind of the direction that they feel. That are we capable of doing this work? Yes. But ultimately, these are headaches that have just exacerbated over the course of time, and we should have addressed these problems bit by bit rather than having to maybe look for 4 or 5 big changes in one summer window. Ox cost us a lot of money, people forget. It was about £40 million. But I suppose sometimes you'll just have to look at this and go, have we got the value of that over the course of his contract? Like, what if we were to sell Oxlade-Chamberlain now? I think with 18 months, I think £18 million, maybe, if we were lucky. So, I mean, I would sell him. I'll put it out there. If you said to me now, one of the three has to go, I'm selling Oxlade-Chamberlain because I think Keita can be infinitely a better player if he's to get it right. But I'd also love better access to his medical history to be able to make a call. Strap yourself in, lads, for the rest of the season. Liverpool is going to be a roller coaster. Sir Klopp, how are you, mate? Said Klopp hinted that Kelleher is staying put next season, even though I thought he'd get a chance out on loan. Yeah, so this is the age-old debate for a promising second goalkeeper, isn't it? Do you send them out on loan to get the experience, or do you keep him close and keep him training with Alisson? I think if you were to do the latter, if you are to keep Queeveen at the club, you need to be convincing him and telling him that the plan is that he eventually succeeds Alisson Becker. Because what we don't want to happen is Queeveen, Kelleher and Liverpool having invested their time in each other, progressed the lad, and then Alisson maybe moves on in 3, 4, 5 years time or whatever, and then the club still have doubts about whether Creevy and Kelleher can take that step up. If they have any doubts, it's only fair to both parties that he moves on. If the succession plan is the Creevy and Kelleher as Alisson's replacement, I'm all for it. I'm all for it because I've got grown weary about seeing Liverpool young goalkeepers come into the club and not break through. You know, we've seen Danny Ward, we've seen many of them over the years that have come through and have never made it. So I hope that Creevy's the one that bucks the trend because I think he's good enough, you know. He needs to fill out a little bit, but I think, you know, as he grows older, that'll be the case. I know the club have him on a regime now where they're trying to bulk him up a little bit. But the man has ice in his veins. He really does. I'm so proud as a former Irish goalkeeper myself and former player being Irish to see a fellow Irishman between the sticks for Liverpool. It is... I almost feel like pride like the lad's my son, even though I've never met him. I hope to meet him someday and congratulate him on everything he's achieved. But yeah, it's immensely proud for me as an Irishman to see Creevy and Kelleher at Liverpool Football Club. Yeah, it just fills me full of happiness. Glenn said, Craig, I've been impressed with Oxlade-Chamberlain with the lads of the AFCON. I get you, Glenn. I get you. He's certainly stepped it up this season, particularly around his defensive displays. So we know Oxlade-Chamberlain is this dynamic attacking midfielder / wide player, but Klopp has always apparently had some questions about Oxlade-Chamberlain's tactical abilities and his defensive nature, and I've seen massive strides in that for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, but I will say I think they've been to the detriment of the attacking options. So I don't know how you balance that out. Killian said, dude, even the last 2-3 seasons, he's impressed me so much. First, seeing him at Dublin impressed me, and then as a Cork man. Oh, I mean, yes. As in with Creevy, yeah, he's legit, isn't he? That's the only phrase I'd use. I mean, yeah. Damn proud, isn't it? I'm damn proud. Ronnie Whelan was such an underrated Irish player. Yes. That goal, if you've never seen Ronnie Whelan's goal for Ireland against what was the USSR at the time, have a Google of that. Woo! What a volley. RBTZ389 said, for our midfield, we need to sell players like Keita, Ox, Milner, and sign Bellingham, Tielemans, Sanchez. I don't know about Renato Sanchez, you know. He's a bit injury prone as well. And last season, Renato Sanchez had an agreement with Barcelona that he was going to leave Lille and go to Barcelona, but he picked up an injury and that put the kibosh on that one. Bellingham and Tielemans, in a heartbeat, mate. In a heartbeat, I would have both of them at Liverpool. Would I take Neves from Wolves? No. Because I don't think we need that style of midfielder. Ruben Neves is a very, very good midfielder. But I don't think that's what we need now. I think we need somebody a little bit more on the front foot. Crick said it for signings. Doku, Ramsey. We're never getting Jacob Ramsey. That's such a match of the day name. We're never getting him out of Villa at this time. Not a hope. Nor do I think he should be removed from Villa. But anyway, Doku, Ramsey, Tielemans and João Pedro from Watford. I think at least 2 of those aren't good enough. One of them is questionable and the other one I'm with you on. Who do I think will replace the front 3? I think we let one go next summer, mate, in my opinion. I think that'll be Mane. Not based off anything. I don't have information everybody else doesn't have. I just think it'll be Mane. Because I think we can replicate Mane easier than we can replicate Bobby. And we can't replicate Salah. That's just not possible. Away from Liverpool, how good is the relegation battle? Yeah, there's some nice little battles shaping up in the Premier League, isn't there? From the relegation zone to the top 4 race. And every time I think the top 4 race is taking a bit of shape, somebody surprises me. So, yeah, I mean, right now I think it would be advantage Spurs in the top 4 race with the games in hand that they have. But then again, United are currently sitting there. West Ham will feel like they've let a massive opportunity slip by not at least getting a point against United. Not just because that extra 2 points they dropped was more points for United as well. Arsenal are doing okay. They're there or thereabouts as well. So While I'm saying all this, I'm very happy that we are chugging along nicely with nobody really challenging us in second place anymore, with an outside chance of trying to rein in Manchester City, who, if we win our games in hand, they're 6 points ahead. So I think the next massive occasion for us will be when we go to the Etihad. If we can somehow get a victory at the Etihad, the league title's back on. And look, City will still be favourites, but it's certainly closer. I think Firmino and Milner will be sold. Milner's contract is up, so he won't be sold. He'll be allowed to go. Origi probably in the same scenario. Firmino, look, I'm not saying Firmino won't be sold. Again, my preference would be to sell Mane. I think Firmino, he's been linked to Barcelona, he's been linked to Atletico Madrid, and I could see him fitting in Spain, Bobby, if he was to move. But I just don't like the idea of losing him. Who besides us has battled for Carvalho? No problem. I'll go fly back over these before I finish up. And don't forget, I'll be back at 8:45 tonight as well. But no worries. Let me go over this. So we'll start with Zakaria. So as Fabrizio Romano said, Bayern, Dortmund, Manchester United, Liverpool and Juventus all looking at Zakaria. Liverpool won't move from in January. That's what Fabrizio said. And a Premier League move seems unlikely for him. So I guess it'll come down to whether Juventus tie him down to a pre-contract agreement or whether they will pony up to €7 million. The next one on Fabio Carvalho says Leeds United and West Ham are also monitoring the 19-year-old. Liverpool are in negotiations. They are talking to Fulham to try and get a deal in place. Hopefully it's to loan him back to Fulham, because that seems like the common sense move to do to keep everybody happy here. He'll continue his football and education there at Fulham, help Fulham get promotion. Liverpool will have a player that they'll have ready for the summer that will have gained more experience, and Fulham won't have lost him for nothing, which they would do in the summer. So let's wait and see how this one plays out. Someone said, is Steve on tonight? He was supposed to be, but unfortunately Steve is really busy with life at the minute. Lots of stuff's up in the air for him, so Steve will be stepping away for a while, and even I don't know what the while is yet, because literally got the message before I came on the stream. So unfortunately Steve won't be around for a bit, but as I said to Steve, completely understand. He's a busy dude, lots of stuff going on in his life, and he knows that when he's ready to come back, the door's here and the spot's here for him, because yeah, we love Steve. Who said we're in negotiations? I said it, Oscar. And if that's not enough for you, mate, you know, I can't help you, but I'm telling you we're in negotiations with him. And I told you before anybody else told you that we were interested in, and we're talking. And then the media comes out with it, and of course we never get a mention. But I'm telling you, mate, if that's not good enough for you, I appreciate it, I understand it, but I'm telling you it is happening. As in, the talks are happening and we are interested. Yeah, there we are with that one. FIFA tomorrow night, yes. Was supposed to do it tonight, but honestly, just don't have the mental strength to do it tonight because it's been a really busy day. Can you ask what happened with Mr. Redmond? He has also left. That's all I can say to you, mate. These things, of course, have to remain private. Originally, I thought that James was going to be concentrating on his own channel. That's the conversations that we had. It seems now he's just not going to be making content for a while, according to a post on Twitter. I don't know. We've kept in contact a little bit behind the scenes, you know, just making sure he had a nice new year, making sure everything's okay. And again, that's all I can say. What's happened with Gakpo? 1 second. That was the last part here I had up. So, right, according to sources in the Netherlands, Voetbal International, so they say that he's held exploratory talks, Gakpo, with Liverpool and Manchester City. But they also go on to say that Bayern Munich are looking at him and that he's going to sign a new contract with PSV at the minute that will take him, I think, through to 2026, which you would imagine would mean that any club looking to buy him would have to pay a whole lot more than they would now. So, yeah, I mean, it's never... If you're looking to sign a player and he's saying I'm about to sign a new contract with a club, you automatically just step back and go, okay, well that means what, we're gonna have to pay more for him. So yeah, I wouldn't be overly hopeful on that one. And look, I don't know enough about Gakpo to know if he's of the level or not. people should just turn off the likes of Sky Sports. Now, look, I don't say this jokingly. I say this deadly, deadly seriously. So, in my opinion, me, Goldbridge, most other people who run fan channels that have had somewhat success, no more than Sky Sports. Without a doubt. Like, when I see Cave, Solacol and the like sitting on Sky Sports going, I'm being told yada yada yada. We all knew this information 2-3 days ago. So I certainly wouldn't be looking to Sky Sports News to get my transfer news. I've always had a belief as well, I will be told and you will be told that they are different brands, Sky Sports and Sky Betting, and that they're owned by different companies and all this shit. But it doesn't sit comfortable with me knowing that markets can be manipulated. I'm not saying that they have been or that they are. I'm just saying the possibility is there for markets to be manipulated by bullshit headlines and stories. And so I've never sat easy with that. It's never worked with me. And I don't believe it. Plus, I've spotted too much bullshit on Sky Sports. Stuff that I know to be untruthful. And the level of journalism as well. I mean, I could pull up 4 misquotes in the last week that they've put as headlines on their articles. One of them around Harry Kane. A misquote that says Harry Kane, something like Harry Kane believes in best in the world Conte or something like that. And then you go down to the quote and that's not what the quote says. So yeah, I don't have the highest of respect for their journalistic integrity. I would much rather have a Melissa Reddy, a James Pearce. I'd much rather pay attention to them personally, and a few others, of course, as well, than people who have platforms that can manipulate situations. That's my take on it. Right, look, I'm going to leg it, and I will see you guys at 8:45 tonight. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. The Twitch highlights, the FIFA stream highlights should be up relatively soon, I think. And the next one should be tomorrow night. So look, I will see you guys at 8:45 tonight. Don't forget to drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping with our discount code WFM20. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Jamie, lovely to see you in the chat before I head off. Talk to you soon.